Welcome back. In today's session, I'm going to be giving you a few tips to improve your language skills. Let's get started. Let me start off by explaining you why the varieties of English spoken by native speakers are hard to understand. The first and foremost is the accent problem. English is a global language, which means a lot of people from different parts of the country speak the language. And also remember that the number of native speakers of English language is lesser than the number of non-native speakers of English language, which means there is a good influence of native tongue on English used by non-native speakers. For example, let me substantiate this point by making an example. Let's look at the sentence, take a piece of cake. Indians would pronounce it without aspiration and therefore say something like, take a piece of cake. People from northern part of England who use the old-fashioned received pronunciation might pronounce this sentence with less aspiration and say something like, take a piece of cake. Whereas the standard variety of English would use aspiration and say something like, take a piece of cake. And with a strong South African accent, it might sound something like, take a piece of cake. Take a piece of cake. The second important aspect is speed. Native speakers of English talk fast that results in reductions and contractions. What are reductions? You must have heard words like shoulda, coulda, woulda, wanna, kinda, gonna, etc. What is shoulda? Shoulda is a reduction for the word should have, and coulda is a reduction for could have. Wanna is a reduction for want to, kinda is a reduction of kind of, gonna is a reduction of going to, etc. And in contraction, you would have heard words like I'll, which is a contraction of I will, or you'll, which is a reduction of you will, and we're, which is a reduction of we are. Now listen to this sentence. I'm going to be really upset if you're going to do this. How do we Indians pronounce this? I am going to be really upset if you're going to be doing this. Whereas native speakers of English might say something like, I'm going to be really upset if you're going to do this. The third important aspect is vocabulary and grammar. Let me make this point by reading out a passage from The Colours of Animals by Sir John Lubbock in a book of natural history published in 1902. The colour of animals is by no means a matter of chance. It depends on many considerations, but in the majority of cases tends to protect the animal from danger by rendering it less conspicuous. Perhaps it may be said that if colouring is mainly protective, there ought to be but few brightly coloured animals. There are, however, not a few cases in which vivid colours are themselves protective. The kingfisher itself, though so brightly coloured, is by no means easy to see. The black harmonizes with the water, and the bird, as it darts along the stream, looks almost like a flash of sunlight. Now, based on this passage, I'm going to be asking you a question. Try to answer that. The question is, the example of the kingfisher in the passage is intended to prove dash. Option A, that the colour of an animal is not always adapted to match the background colour of its environment. Option B, that the colour of an animal is always adapted to match the background colour of its environment. Option C, that the colour of an animal is an extraneous detail, evolutionarily speaking. Option D, that the colour of the animal is statistically speaking most likely to be adapted to match the background colour of its environment. And option E, none of these answers. It's an anecdotal story designed to inject some levity into the passage. Now, for you to answer this question, you need to understand the words that I have marked in green. For example, here extraness, and in option E, anecdotal story and levity. Now, let us go back to the passage and see. Again, for you to understand the passage, you need to understand the vocabulary or the words like rendering, conspicuous, harmonizes, darts, etc. Moreover, you also need to be aware of certain expressions such as by no means or a matter of chance. Similarly, ought to be, and then but few. So, these are all tricky expressions that one must know in order to understand the passage. Let us rephrase the sentences marked in yellow using simple vocabulary. So, here the color of animals is by no means a matter of chance. By no means, it refers to, it's another expression of not at all, and a matter of chance here means random. So, this sentence becomes the color of animals is not at all random. But for you to understand this, you need to understand the expressions by no means and a matter of chance. Similarly, if you look at the phrase, there ought to be but few brightly colored animals. Here, ought to be can be replaced by should be. There should be but few brightly colored animals. This again means there should be few brightly colored animals. Then the next sentence that's marked in yellow, let's read it out. The kingfisher itself, though so brightly colored, is by no means easy to see. What does it mean? Does it mean that the kingfisher, though brightly colored, is easy to see or not easy to see? Because you see a no there in the sentence. Only if you know the meaning of the expression by no means will you be able to understand that this sentence is trying to say that the kingfisher, though so brightly colored, is not at all easy to see. So, now having explained the passage, let us go back to the question once again and try to answer this question. So, what do you think is the right answer to this question? The example of the kingfisher in the passage is intended to prove dash. The right answer is option A. Now, the next subtopic that we are going to be looking at in this module is how to listen well in a conversation. Let's assume that you are not a fluent speaker of English and someone is talking to you in English. What do? The first and foremost rule is do not get nervous if you happen to hear certain jargons or certain words that you don't understand. Instead, relax and focus on what the person is trying to say. The second rule, which a lot of second language learners commit, is to translate English into their mother tongue in their head while a conversation is happening. Make sure that you don't do, because half your focus and energy would go in translating and you would lose focus on the content. The third rule is to understand the context. From understanding the context, you can infer the meaning of lot of words that you might probably not understand otherwise. For example, let me substantiate this point by reading out a conversation. So, Kea walks into a hotel to book a room and she's having a conversation with the hotel receptionist. So, let's look at the conversation. My name is Kea. I want to book a room in this hotel. May I see your identification, please? Here you go. Thanks. Do you want a single, double, triple, quad or suite room? Now let's suppose someone who is not a fluent speaker of English happens to listen to this conversation. Okay? Imagine that this is a recorded conversation and happens to listen to this conversation, and he doesn't understand what the expression "here you go" means. So how can he infer the meaning of these words from this particular context? He understands that the hotel receptionist has asked for identification and she has thanked Kea, which means at some point Kea has shown her identification card, which means there is high possibility that "here you go" means "here it is." Maybe it's an alternate expression to say "here it is." And now let's look at the other jargon that he is confused about. In this, the hotel staff asks Kea, do you want a single room, double room, triple room, quad room or a suite room? What's a single room? A room that can accommodate one person. Double room, a room that can accommodate two people. Triple room, a room that can accommodate three people. Quad room, a room that can accommodate four people. So guess what would the meaning of suite room be? Maybe a room larger than that, right? So the guess is right. A suite room is a room attached to another room or multiple rooms, which means suite room is the biggest of all the rooms that a hotel can offer. Now, coming to the third subtopic of this module, how to improve your listening and speaking skills. First rule, listen to different varieties of English. Yes, there are different varieties of English, and what are they? There's Canadian English, there's Indian English, there is American English, there's Welsh English, Irish English, Scottish English, Australian English, South African English, etc. So make sure that you listen to different kinds of English and get acquainted with the different kinds of pronunciation. And also, while you listen, make sure that you listen to men, women and children. Listen to as many different formats and sources as possible, such as songs, news, films, TV shows, plays, audiobooks, podcasts, textbook exercises, etc. Listen to something every day and listen to something different every day so that you can listen without getting bored. The more you listen, the better you get at it. Understand? The more you listen, the better you get at it. Also, listen when you're doing other activities that doesn't require much attention. And what are those activities? Maybe when you're cleaning your room, maybe when you're waiting for the bus at a bus station or waiting for the train at a railway station, maybe when you're gymming, maybe when you're exercising. So put those time to good use by listening to something different every day. Now coming to a very important question. How do you choose the material? So make sure that whatever you choose, you understand more than 50% and less than 90% of the content. If you don't understand more than 50% of the content, it means that the material is too difficult for you. And if you understand more than 90%, then it means the content is too easy for you. Now coming to the fourth subsection of this module, a few good sources. If you're interested in watching news, you may watch some international news channels or national news channels. A few good news channels are BBC, CNN, Fox News, ABC, NDTV, Times Now, Republic TV, etc. If you are interested in listening to radio, I would highly recommend BBC Radio Service, and that's available online free of cost. You may also listen to podcast. What's podcast? Podcasts are radio shows that are available only on the internet. You may watch movies. Make sure that you watch at least 2 Hollywood movies per week and do not watch it with subtitles. TV shows are better than movies because they're longer. So in the process you get to hear more, you listen more, because you might also get involved in the story and you end up watching the entire season. So which means more input and therefore more output. Songs are also pretty good sources for improving your pronunciation, because there's a good opportunity for you to repeat, because a lot of lyrics get repeated in the song. So you may by heart the song and sing it out to your friends, or if you're not comfortable doing that, you can sing it to yourself in your own space. The next is audiobooks. YouTube has a lot of audiobooks that are available free of cost. If you want high content quality, then you can also get Audible or Blinkist, but then you need to pay for them. Blinkist is an app where you have a lot of books that are summarized. So those of you who do not have time to read the entire book can get the gist of these books in 15 minutes. So it's a pretty good app to start off with. And also make sure that for you to be comfortable with fast English, try to go to the setting and increase the natural speed to 2x, so that the speed at which the book is read is increased, so that the pace at which the words are read out is increased. So in the process you get to hear fast English, and eventually you will get comfortable with that. The next option that you have is TED Talk. TED is a company that produces high quality informative content. They're professionally produced and highly suitable for listening. The next important source is dictionary. Make sure that you use a dictionary whenever you get stuck with the pronunciation of a word. You may use dictionaries, and they're the best source so far available. Grammar books and worksheets are also good sources. There are different levels of grammar books: beginner, intermediate and advanced. Based on your level, you may choose the grammar book that you want. Also, there are a lot of grammar worksheets that are available online free of cost. And the final point is that you talk to your friends in English. This can make you a lot comfortable in the language. So this is yet another good exercise for you. So with this, today's module comes to an end. I hope to meet you with a different topic on a different day. Until then, stay safe, happy learning.